So this is a quick recap of last week. We spoke about sanctification, and sanctification being God's relentless insistence on completing that thing, right, that he has started in each of us. Sanctification is God using the wilderness between redemption and the promised land, that in-between space, to transform our desires, renew our minds, and teach us to walk by faith, not to make us earn our entry, but to prepare us. It's all about preparation to actually thrive once we arrive there. And the Israelites left Egypt in one single exodus, yet God spent decades excavating Egypt from the Israelites. And that's the process. The quicker we yield, the more we surrender, the shorter that process is. And then we spoke about salvation is what got you out. Sanctification is what changes you from the inside out. And destiny is simply the becoming. Your destiny is simply becoming fully and finally the person that God has always wanted you to be. And I love this part. God was training a slave generation to think like sons, to trust an invisible provider over visible circumstances. So he was showing himself faithful to his covenant. So it was always preparation dressed as process. Okay, did you all get blessed last week? Did you learn something? Was it good? Amen. Okay, now sit back. Fasten your seatbelts because we're going deep tonight, right? This week, we're going to talk about from orphan to heir, deliverance into sonship, or healing of the father wound. Now, I deal with a lot of people in group settings and one-on-one. And I want to go and say that probably more than 80% of people have daddy issues. So it is highly likely that you guys also have a daddy issue. And you know what? That's fine, because it's not going to be a daddy issue for long. Big if, we deal with the daddy issue. If we go there. Now, you guys have probably heard about the orphan spirit. Have you guys heard that slang thrown around? People talk about the orphan spirit. What is an orphan spirit? So this is not about your natural parents. This is not about your dad or your mom or none of that. The orphan spirit is a spiritual mindset, right? And it concentrates on separation, insecurity, and self-protection. So it's that walls, you know, those walls that we build up, those walls that say, oh, I'm just going to keep everyone at bay, just arm's length, because at least then I know I'm not going to get hurt. Then I know I'm in control. I'm not talking about boundaries. I'm talking about that mindset of saying, I separate myself. This is not me. This is not my portion. And not in a good way. Another word for that, for this orphan spirit, I call it the identity assassin. It steals your true identity. Now, when we get born again, we spoke about this week 1 and week 2, in that moment of salvation, everything changes. It may not feel like it. In the natural, if, you know, I always say, if you were fat before you got saved, you're probably still fat the moment after you got saved, because it wasn't the natural thing that happened. If you had a pimple on your cheek before, you're going to have the pimple afterwards, because it's not something that happened in your physical body. Your spirit man was renewed instantly. And because your spirit man was renewed and sealed, that means to be reborn. That's why they call it the new birth, but from a different dimension, which means you cannot be the same you were a day before, a moment before. But why is it so hard for us to grasp? Because it's something that happened in the unseen. And we are so carnally minded because we must always be in control. If I am in control of the card, then Aaliyah, mom probably says, if I've got the credit card, Aaliyah won't spend the money. Jokes. But then she's in control, you understand? Like my husband probably says that about me. Like, let me just keep the card in my wallet, then everything's fine. That's our problem. We are control freaks because we live under this false, right, idea that if we have the reins, everything will be fine. That's a lie. You do not belong to yourself. Do you not know that you are a temple of the Holy Ghost? Do you not realize that the Spirit of God dwells inside of you? You know what? When I say these scriptures, I can see Paul standing in front of these people. He's like, are you all there? How do you not know this? But Paul was so spiritually minded, right, that the natural things took that second place. And that is why God could use Paul to the extent that he did. But as time went on, they institutionalized the church. Let's all put it in a box. And over the centuries, church has become something, I just ticked my box. I'm good for this week. Let's go. Now I'll go live my life the way I want. I can do whatever I want. As long as I come back next Sunday, I say my sorries and we move, and then I'm good again for another week. And that was never the plan. I always say in the Great Commission, it never said, come ye. It said, go ye. So we need to live from a place where we know that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I am still seated in heavenly places. I still rule and reign as a king and a priest. But we get filled up on a Sunday, man. The worship is awesome. We are just doing our thing. And you go home and you fly on a cloud. Monday morning, you walk into the office. Your boss opens his mouth and there you go. Bam, back to reality. Forgotten that we even went to church. Because it has become a thing we do to give us that euphoria, that high feeling. But it was never about feelings. It was never supposed to be smoke and mirrors and I don't like, okay, I personally don't like smoke. I don't care about the cameras and all of that stuff. I know it gets the message out there. But we've lost the thing it was really about. We've lost sight of what it should really be about. And that is why discipleship ended. And that is why people are where they are. Okay, moving on. Romans 8:15 in the ESV, it says, for you did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption as sons, right? By whom we cry, Abba, Father. That term, Abba, is such a term of endearment. It is an intimate term. If I look at my daughter and I see the way she runs to meet her father when he comes home in the day, I'm just like, yeah, don't mind me. I was just the incubator. She loves her dad. And you can see that. And it's something that cannot be faked. You can't fake it. But you know what? When she messed up, she comes from a different place. She still goes, but I can see that, I need to tell dad now, Oh, how are we going to deal with this? And then the moment she speaks to him, it's like, oh, that's fine, babe. Her countenance lifts and everything is fine again. And then I ask myself, was it necessary, right, for her to get into that place of, oh, dad, oh, no. Because as a human being, the first thing we do when we mess up, inflict. You immediately point the fingers to yourself. Oh, why did I let this happen? How could I do this? Right? If only Marie, if only I just took the cake out when I wanted to and I didn't pick up my phone, then I wouldn't have sat in this situation. So the orphan works for approval. but a son works from approval. So if we realize that we messed up, and you know what? Because God is constant, our emotions fluctuate up and down, but because God is constant, it doesn't matter if we messed up. All he wants us to do is come and talk to me when it's going good. Come and talk to me when it's going bad. Come and talk to me when you feel like a loser, because then I'll tell you again who you are. But no, the first thing we do is we inflect, and immediately when you do that, the enemy is right. Perfect. Now I can tell her exactly what I think about her. You're useless. Like, well, why do you even try? Right? And it's because we come into agreement with that first inflection lie that he can come and yap. Okay, so now why is sonship critical for breakthrough? Why is it so urgent that we get into this place of sonship for us to live a life of victory, for us to live from a point of breakthrough? And I know we all walk through issues and life is not always rosy. Let's face it. Some days I'm even like, okay, Lord, I'm just going to turn around, pull the curtain and sleep for half an hour and wake up, and then we try again. We all have that moment. We are in this world. You cannot escape that, my friends. But it is how we deal with it that changes the reaction, that changes the outcome, that changes what we need to deal with after we speak. So we said an orphan spirit is not about our natural parents, but it is a mindset. So it's a choice that you make in your heart. It's something you actually believe deep within you. And until that belief is changed, until you counter that with truth, you will always operate from an orphan mentality. Now, sonship is critical. Why? Because number one, sons have access. My daughter has a key to my house. My gardener doesn't. Sons have access. We read in Hebrews 4. So let us come boldly to the throne of our gracious God. There we will receive his mercy and we will find grace to help us when we need it most. Look there, boldly. If you are not a son, you are not going to walk into a king's throne room with boldness. You're going to walk in looking down like, oh, just don't look at me. Just don't look at. What is a son going to do? He's going to come in, run straight to his dad, jump on his lap, and he's going to say, Dad, guess what I just did? Versus, how does a servant come in? Oh, dear sire, wara. That's not the same. So we can come boldly, good or bad. We come boldly to the throne of grace. Number two, sonship is critical because sons inherit. My daughter is going to inherit, what are you going to inherit, Sinead? Let's say my Bibles. Yes, good one. My daughter will inherit my Bibles. My sons will fight her for it. Everyone can get one, but my daughter will inherit my Bibles. My gardener will not. Galatians 4 from verse 5, it says, God sent him, that is Jesus, to buy freedom for us who were slaves to the law, so that he could adopt us as his very own children. Can you see the theme here? This is not I need servants. This is not I need someone to stand at the door. This is not I need someone to clean my floor. To adopt us as his very own children. And because we are his children, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, prompting us again to call out, Abba, Father. Now you are no longer a slave. Can you guys say that? Say, I am no longer a slave, but I am God's own child. And you need to repeat that. Make a plaque for your, your mirror. well, wherever you go, you know what? Put it on the fridge, because we all go to the fridge the whole day. Put a picture on there that says, I am no longer a slave. I am a child of the Most High God. I call him Abba Father. Now you are no longer a slave, but God's own child. And since you are his child, God has made you his heir. Does that not make you happy, man? Yeah, I am an heir. My father owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. I have free access. Now, it's good to know these things. That's step one. But do we operate from that is another question. That was number two. And the last one, sonship is critical because sons carry authority. John 5:19 says, Jesus explained, I tell you the truth, the son can do nothing by himself. He does only what he sees the Father doing. Whatever the Father does, the Son also does. And that was Jesus' mission on earth. That is what he did. He says, I do only what I see my Father do. So if you do not have that relationship, if you do not operate from a place of sonship, you will never be able to operate in the same or at the same level that Jesus did. And do you know what? It was always your portion. Jesus was the firstborn of many. You guys, we are all the many. He says, you will do greater works than I did because I go unto my Father. Is that your desire? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, like, why is it just so hard for me? Why do people not get healed when I pray for them? Do you know why? Because you are still holding the reins. You feel like you need to pray this thing now until he gets healed. If you pray, right, from a place of sonship, and you just know that, God, every time I pray, I know that you hear me because your word says that. And if I know that you hear me, I know that I have the desire or the petition that I ask of you because I pray according to your will. Is it God's will to heal? Yes. That means I am praying from a different place. You are not praying to make this thing happen by your own power. You pray from a position of a son, a position of a daughter, a position of knowing my God hears me, knowing that I do his will. And he said, when I do that, I can know that I have the petitions that I ask of him. Doesn't that just take the pressure off? And that was just about healing. It works on any basis. Anything you speak to the Lord about, you need to do it from a position of sonship. Now I want to speak about the heart of the Father. I just looked at this pic and I thought that's beautiful. That reminds me of all of my kids. When they just started walking and you would put them down, man, when Daddy opened that arms, they would come running. They would probably face plant 3 times before they reached Dad. But every time they would get up and keep running, run into the arms of their dad. And that's exactly the heart of God. That is why we were created. We were created not even for fellowship. It's so much more intimate than that. God wanted children. You are wanted, Sarah. You are wanted, Daleen. You were not created because God didn't have anything better that day. You are not here because his bag of plans ran out. You are here because he loves you and he wants you to live with him from a position of sonship, because that's why he sent Jesus, to restore us back to the Father. So many Christians, leaders, ministers, they all operate as a Christian, as a believer, they all operate from places of trauma, points of trauma or rejection or abandonment or even spiritual father wounds. And that's not sonship. That is an orphan mentality. The Father's heart, though, right, does 3 things for us. It restores our identity. It removes fear. And it releases commission. And that is why it is critical to lose that orphan mentality, to break those strongholds and get into your position as a son or a daughter of the Most High God. Number one, it restores identity. Mark 1 verse 11 says, "You are my beloved son." Number two, it removes fear. Perfect love casts out fear. 1 John 4:18. And then it releases commission. Matthew 3 and 4, you can read about identity and authority. So Jesus was affirmed before he performed. Before Jesus' ministry started, God the Father affirmed it. "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." So breakthrough, what Jesus walked in, just shows us that that only follows after your identity has been established. Not your identity as the authority of a believer, but your identity as a son. Now, I've got a little bit of reading to do here, and this is about the prodigal son. We've all read that story. You guys probably knew we were going to go there. So sit back and listen while I read this. Luke 15 from verse 11, and this is in the NLT. To illustrate the point further, Jesus told them this story. A man had 2 sons. The younger son told his father, "I want my share of your estate now, before you die." So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. A few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land. And there he wasted all of his money in wild living. About the time his money ran out, a great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him. But no one gave him anything. When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, "At home, even the hired servants have food to eat, food enough to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant.' So he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long way off, this is so beautiful, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son." This is such a beautiful picture. When we come back to God, he is the one running to us. That is his heart towards us. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son. He embraced him and kissed him. And his son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy of being called your son." But his father said to the servants, "Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet." He did not say, "Yeah, so we're going to have to talk about this a little bit. Where were you? What did you do? How could you ever think that would work out, Tara? Can you not think for yourself?" That's not God. That is not him. The enemy tries to put this picture of what we see or have seen our earthly fathers do on God. And it is such a warped perspective. So he said, "Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet. And kill the calf we have been fattening. We must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found." So the party began. Meanwhile, the other son was in the fields working. When he returned home, he heard music and dancing in the house, and he asked one of the servants what was going on. "Your brother is back," he was told, and your father has killed the fattened calf. We are celebrating because of his safe return. The older brother was angry and wouldn't even go inside. Can you believe it? His father came out and begged him, but he replied, all these years I've slaved you and never once refused to do a single thing that you told me to. And in all that time, you never gave me even one young goat for a feast with my friends. Yet, when this son of yours, not my brother, when this son of yours comes back after squandering your money on prostitutes, you celebrate by killing the fattened calf. His father said to him, look, dear son, you've always stayed by me, and everything I have is yours. Not you have to, if you ask me, you could have. Everything I have is yours already. We had to celebrate this happy day, for your brother was dead and has come back to life. He was lost, but now he is found. So what a true picture this is. And I love how it talks about he was dead and he returns to new life, which talks about spiritually dead and coming to God. But it also talks about he was lost, but now he is found. That's people who miss it, people who backslide, people who wander off, and then they're like, oh, you know what, God, I was just somewhere. And God's like, oh man, just come on, you back home, pull in. So what can we see in this? We can see an employee badge versus the family key. The son who stayed with the father, he operated from a place of being an employee. He operated from a place of not knowing everything my father has is mine. So an employee is a badge that gives him access during work hours, where a son has a key and thus has 24/7 access. Many believers live with a badge to access God, but sons live with key access. There's a permanent open door for us. We don't need a badge. We don't need the fancy tapping thing. None of that. We belong there. But you know what? We try to make it out in our own minds that, do I deserve to go in there? Did I satisfy this list of things for me to be able to, Hebrews 4, come boldly to the throne of grace? And when we do that, do you know what we are actually asking? We actually ask, was Jesus' blood really enough? Was it really strong enough? Oh no, God, like, let me just tell you what I did. Like, this is just major. What a slap in the face. We cannot operate from a place like that. It's like making null and void everything that Jesus did, because he came to restore us back to the Father. He did not come to restore us just outside on the hedge line. He restored us back to the Father. So you are not there anymore. You are here as a son in the kingdom with the Father. Why do you still operate like an orphan? So the orphan spirit is a mindset, not a status. So you can be saved, but still think like an orphan. And we can see that the prodigal son came home, but the older brother was still functioning as a servant. Look here. Verse 29. All these years I've slaved for you. That's orphan language. That is not the language of a son. Oh, Lord, I did this for you, and I went here, and I went to Fiji, and I went to Africa, gone, and I couldn't eat, but you know what? I just did it all for you. It's, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to convince God to accept you? Because, you know, if we could ever do anything to be accepted, why did Jesus come? If you are still trying to convince God or yourself that, okay, I did this, I did that, and I can put that on the letter, you are missing the point. You are literally falling into the biggest trap that the enemy has for believers. And that is living as an orphan while you're standing in the presence of heaven. Now, this orphan mentality, what does that look like? Number one, performance-driven faith. I need to do. I did this, I can do that. And then on Tuesday, I do that. Wednesday, I do that. That's performance-driven. And number two, it is the fear of rejection. If I don't have a list to present to God of everything that I did for him, he's just not going to accept me. I will just not be good enough. So that's living from a place of fear of rejection, where God said, I've already accepted you. I've given you the spirit of adoption by which you cry, Abba, Father. You are not in the kingdom of darkness anymore. You are here. You are mine. You are accepted into the beloved. Number three, comparison. Oh, comparison is the thief of joy, people. I walked in that for a very long time until I could shake off that last bit, that last hook that the enemy had in me, to realize that no one on this planet is the same. God made each one of us different. And I've said this in church. There's people that would rather listen to me and receive from me that would not receive from my husband. But you know what? There's people that would rather receive from him and not from me, because we are all different. We learn different. We receive different. So there's people that Tara is going to get to turn around and challenge their lives and change, that will never listen to me. But Tara has that thing, that special thing inside of her, that gold for a specific group of people. Number four, insecurity. That's orphanhood. Number five, defensiveness. I feel I always have to stand up for myself. If I don't fight for myself, no one will. That is all part of the orphan mentality. And then striving in ministry or in business. Striving connects to performance-driven faith. I need to do this. I just need to tick all the boxes. That's Monday, Tuesday. And then in less than a year, you're so burnt out and all you want to do is run away. Oh, I just need to go to Greece. Like, I just need to go to Santorini and just lie there. Yes, that is one of my dreams, but not the point now. You get so burnt out because you are operating outside of grace. God has given, he's taken us. We are saved by grace, people. He has taken us by grace, put us here, and now we live from the position as a son. We can come anytime boldly to the throne of grace to talk to him about anything, anywhere. I don't need a priest. I don't need to kill a bull or a turtle dove. I can just come and say, Dad, I messed up. And his answer to me is always, I'm so happy you came to me first. I'm so happy you came to me first. Because when we go to him first and we shut off the voice of the enemy, we do not get into that demonic swirl of inflicting and then calling ourselves name and then shutting down ourselves, talking us down deeper into a pit of rejection. No, you stop it in the moment of happening and you immediately run to the Father. Don't run from him, run to him. And then the last one, jealousy of others' promotion. Why am I still in process? What does he have that I don't? What makes her so special? Why can I not? We are all called for a specific thing, a specific lane. And when you operate in the rhythms of grace, when you operate from that place of sonship, there will not be any opportunity to get into jealousy, which will end in confusion and chaos anyway, or insecurity or comparison. None of that stuff. Because when you operate in the rhythm of grace, it's going to be easy. It's going to flow. It is not going to be like, oh, I need to keep this wheel turning and it's hard and I'm burnt out and I'm tired and I'm not in the mood. Then you are outside of the rhythms of grace. Now, what's the reason of all of this? Like, where are you going, Lizanne? All the things we spoke about now of this orphan spirit, right, is fruits. But we need to deal with the root, my friend, the roots, and there's more than one. So operating with an orphan mentality is the fruit. That's the stuff you deal with. All of these examples I just shared. And if we deal with the fruit apart from the roots, true change cannot take place. Because the root will still be there. Even if you cut off the fruit, the root is still going to allow that fruit to grow. So we need to get to the root. And I'm going to handle one of these tonight, and we'll carry on as the days goes by. But this is a big one. The first root we're going to deal with tonight is the root of shame. The root of shame. Now, what does shame do? Shame attacks your identity. It doesn't attack what you did. It's not about the action, right? It attacks who you believe you are. So it goes deeper than that. If guilt says, you know what, I made a mistake, then shame says, I am the mistake. Do you see the difference? Guilt has a way of almost drawing us to God. I made a mistake. You know, my bad. I missed it. I'm sorry. But shame goes deeper. Shame goes directly for our identity, and it says, I am the mistake. Shame says, I am wrong. Shame says, I did something bad. It's deeper. Can you guys see that? So it attacks your identity deep within you. Now, there's different types of shame, and they come in different ways, shapes, and forms. And here is the most common one. Shame forces us into hiding, okay, or self-sabotage, hyper-perfectionism, or chronic self-criticism, or body-based shame. These are the ones I see in women most of the time. The first one, let's talk about hiding. Hiding is one of the manifestations of shame. Adam hid. You can read that in Genesis 3. The moment his eyes opened and he realized what he did not run to God. He ran and they hid. That's what we do. The moment you realize, oh, I should never have said that. What do? Immediately you inflict. It's me. There's still something in me. Man, I'm useless. Why can I just not get this right? What is modern examples of hiding, okay? You avoid vulnerability. You need to always put up this sham that everything's fine. Everything's fine. All's good. Now I'm happy. Everything's good. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, everything's falling apart. You avoid visibility. I'll just stand at the back here. No, I don't want to be seen. I'm okay. That's shame. Or you're over curating social presence. You put up this fakeness, super happy, always with friends, selfies, and there's nothing wrong with selfies, but there's a place where you do that to try and cover up for what's really going on the inside. So what's the stronghold belief in that? It's when we say, if people really knew me, they would reject me. So if you believe that I need to be this, I need to keep up this performance, this picture of how and what people perceive me to be, because if they actually get in close and they know me, they're going to reject me because I'll never be good enough. And that's a stronghold we need to deal with first. You cannot cast out shame if there's still a stronghold, a fortified house, a way of thinking in your mind where shame can hide. That's the first one, hiding. Number 2, self-sabotage. What's modern examples of this? Quitting when promotion comes. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm out. Why? Because you want that reins. If I can just protect myself, building up these walls, or you undercharge in business. Oh, no, it's fine. No, you can have it. So it's okay. You can have it for $20, even though you paid $150 for it. Oh, no, it's fine. It's $20. Or you avoid big opportunities. Because in the stronghold, you believe and you say to yourself, I don't deserve success. I don't deserve promotion. I don't deserve this. Again, this has nothing to do with the action. This has got to do with your identity, what you really believe inside. So that's self-sabotage. The third one, hyper-perfectionism. Man, this was me. Obsessive editing. I would carry on and on and on. And then I would help my husband with his presentations that he had to do for the boards in Geneva, Switzerland. And I would work on it for hours. And then when he took it and he edited it further, I was just like, I'm useless. Like, why do I even try? Because it was a me thing. Not about the presentation. It was about me on the inside. Fear of launching. Oh, you just talk about it. Yes, one day I'll do it. Sarah, when are you going to start your thing? Yeah, we will. I'm not saying this is Sarah. I'm giving you an example. You got a fear of launching because deep inside you believe that if it's not perfect, if it's not going to work out 100% the way I planned it, all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed, then I am a failure. Paralysis by analysis. If it doesn't look like this plan that I've worked out for 10 years, I am a failure. We live in a fallen world. We live in an imperfect world. Things are going to go wrong. That was hyper-perfectionism. And then we've got manifestations of shame. The last one is body-based shame. Body-based shame. Oh, no. That was the wrong one. Sorry, Pip. This should actually read chronic self-criticism. Internally, we accuse ourselves. We are chronically criticizing ourselves. Do you know what it is to be on chronic medications? It's something you have to do every day, 3 times a day. So you are feeding yourself this lies on a chronically medicated basis. killing yourself on the inside by you keeping on accusing yourselves. It's just me. Like, I did it again. Sometimes we need to stop and listen how we actually speak to ourselves. Listen, what am I hearing? What is my body hearing? What is my soul man hearing me say the whole day? But words has become so easy, so not important, so freely usable that it has lost impact in life. But you know what? It never lost impact in the spirit. It is still affecting us spiritually. Even though for us it is easy, we can say what we want. It is still affecting us personally. The second one is an inability to celebrate wins. When something good happens, you will find a reason to just not be happy. Yeah, but I should have done that better. That could have gone better. Like, if I just did it that way, then that could also have worked out. Just critical, man. I should never have used that computer. If I just thought about it longer, then what do you think your body does when you say these things? It's not growing. It's not happy. It is groaning. It is like when you break something off a tree. It is drying out your bones. That stronghold belief just says, I am fundamentally flawed. Not, I made a mistake. Not, oh, I forgot to take my laptop charger. No, you know what? I'm just fundamentally flawed. Like, there's just inside of me, I'm done. That is all beliefs that we walk around with in our minds. And that's the strongholds. Now, if those strongholds do not get broken down and dismantled, you can cast out shame. It comes back and it's going to stay because it's got a right in your mind. It's got a place to hide, a living place in your mind. The last one, body-based shame. Modern examples, appearance insecurity. Me, my whole life, I would never go out of the house except to my parents' house after I got married now. You know, we would never visit friends. I'd only go to my parents, be there for a while. As soon as there's too many people there, I would tell my husband we're going and we'd go back home. Sexual shame, whether it's something that happened to you or something that you did. If it's there, it's going to stay. Residue of trauma. Man, people walk through hard stuff. Hard stuff, ugly stuff. Stuff where the devil tried to take you out. Until we deal with those places, until we can get to a point where we talk about these things and the pain is not there, then the healing hasn't come. And that is why in our home church, like, we are so vulnerable, man. We just share all the stuff we work through because I believe that what you walk through and what you have overcome, you've got authority over. And I grew up in a church where everything was just fine and rosy and you came and it's great and go home and we see you next Sunday. It didn't change me. It didn't disciple me. It gave me a false sense of security. And I fell back into the world in a bad way, man. So I walk that walk. I can stand here and I can talk the talk because I can say I was there. And now I'm here and I'm alive to tell the story about how I overcome. And it's going to help you. And you do not have to make the same mistake. And by listening to my story, by me being vulnerable, you will be able to say, oh, wow, she can talk about it like that. Obviously, she got healed. And it's going to give you that freedom to actually come to the Father. It's going to make you feel like, well, if he could save her, I guess I can try. You know, sometimes we're such wimps. God is just like, oh, well, you just come in already. Come in. We think, oh, I'm not clean enough. I'm not pure enough. I did this and that. And, you know, we've repented about so many things. And then you come again and you repent. And God's like, I've got no idea what you're talking about. Because when God forgives, he forgets. Not us. Oh, no. We've got all of these little journals with a whole list, just everything I've repented of, so that this 6-year journey, I can just know that I did that. Go back. Oh, yeah, I repented of that. Okay, I'm good. Why do we always need to be in control? Why is it so hard for us to surrender, man? So, as body based shame manifests in your life, you're going to say, my body is dirty, or my body is wrong. My body is just not socially acceptable. I am not a small woman. Yep, I got to lose weight, working on that. But you know what? I love myself. You can ask Tara and them. I come to church in the brightest clothes ever. Everyone can see me. I love Proud Poppy. Loud and proud, that's me. It suits my personality. I love that. I never used to wear that. I only used to wear black clothes. Black pants, black shirt, or a black dress. That was my life. Even Sarah, when she met me, she probably thought, oh, what a drab man. God turned me around when I got to this final place of realizing I'm just letting all of this go because it's heavy. And he says his burden and his yoke is easy and light. Whatever I'm carrying, this heavy thing, this having to always be perfect, it's stopping me from getting to where God wants me to be. It's stopping me from even approaching people. It's stopping me from sharing my stuff because it doesn't fit with the picture. It doesn't fit with this fake life that I've created on social media, or this fakeness that people believe about me, which is so far removed from the truth or reality. Now, just quickly, strongholds. What is a stronghold? A stronghold forms when we have a wound in our soul, right? So it's the wound plus the lie of the enemy, and then you come into agreement with that. You come into agreement, yes, it's me. I'm fundamentally flawed. I am the problem. And the more you believe those things, over time, right, your whole identity becomes distorted. You build up this picture of what you feel you are. Whereas God says, that's not even like, that's not it, man. That is so far from what I say. And because we've walked, most of us here have, except Shanae's young, most of us here has walked through some stuff over a few years. So that time issue, that time factor there has really played in well with this distorted view that we have come to believe. An example, the event could be something happens in public and you just fail, right? Something terrible happens. You go up for a presentation and you just forget your words and everything fails. What is the emotion you feel? You immediately feel embarrassed. Okay? What is the lie? The enemy says you are incompetent. You grab a hold of that lie and you say, I am incompetent, man. You come into agreement. Say, I should never, ever do this again. I'll never try this ever again in my life. Come on, we've all been there. Doesn't have to be in public, but it's something you just said, this is it. I'll never do this again. So what's the stronghold? It's fear of visibility or fear of man. And every time this happens, it's another brick that the enemy puts on his stronghold. And he builds up this fortified place where he can safely dwell and continually feed you lies. Can you guys see how critical it is to deal with the root and not the fruit?